Hi, I'm Julia. Welcome to the Writer's Room again today. I have a personal narrative story today told in first person. It has to do with my life. The title is The Good of the Many. The VW bug rumbled down the dirt road, plumes of dust billowing as we sped along on our way home with a car full of animals we had rescued. There was a mother cat named Ophelia and her 5 kittens, 3 brown puppies, and 1 very upset goat named Ernie. My life couldn't have gotten any better. It is near dusk when we pull up to our old farmhouse. A rumble of thunder passes over. "We made it," Nancy exclaims. "We're heroes," I reply. Nancy turns the car off. It shoots out a bang of backfire from its exhaust pipe. Boom! Ernie the grumpy goat lets out a sound of relief next to my ear. The doors fly open and we quickly unload the ark of animals we have saved from near peril at the hands of others who are not able to care for them. The cat, kittens, puppies, and Ernie the goat would join our other friends here, likes of which are 2 German shepherds, Layla and Seth, and their 9 puppies, 2 horses named Cinnamon and Candyman, and their foal, Addison. A small little black-white goat named Spike, a soft-hearted Jersey cow named April, and her calf, Viola. There are also other cats here, a brother and sister named Rose and Bud, many ducks, and an entire gaggle of geese. There are a dozen chickens with a mild-mannered rooster named Norman, too. All living about the farm, going about their lives without the fear of abuse or imminent death to their kind. This is the world I live in, and I love being part of it every day. There are no other children around other than myself living in this mountainous area. The animals are my friends. It is never lonely here because my days are always full of so many lives to watch grow. We choose to live a kinder, gentler life here in Morinville. We don't eat meat from animals. We are simply vegetarians. There's an acre of vegetable gardens that Nancy attends to every day. Apple trees that canvas the landscape are an endless supply of fruit. Tucked into the edge of the tree line by the barn are honeybee hives that buzz and hum with life. We get milk from the cow, April, and eggs from the chickens and the ducks. To live off the grid is to know that you are alive and can sustain from within the natural world itself. It is peaceful and hard work, too. There are days that my father's friends are coming or going to chat or pitch their tents down by the river, which helps to bring their minds back to center. Some of these friends bring their horses, too. There are big suppers each night that Nancy prepares, bowls of mashed potatoes, buttery breads, colorful salads, and tasty sauces. The desserts are to die for. The aromas fill the house and linger for hours past. There is always music, too. An old record player is spinning with the Moody Blues or John Lennon's resonating lyrics. There is a camaraderie of belonging here to the greater good of all, because the good of the many is more important than the good of the one. Growing up without an urban reflection, I perceive the world around me to be a kind and gentle place. If it were not for television, I would have continued to believe everyone, everywhere, lived the same too. Accepting that we are vulnerable and not insulated from realities of the many beating hearts here, we have a good or bad day trouble daily. I say good trouble because that's what the animals have become. But perhaps a tragedy can take place too. Occasionally, one of the horses breaks out of the fencing and gets into Nancy's garden, only later to be found under an apple tree, lazing about its shade, drunk with a belly full of fermented fruit. There are occurrences in the animal world notwithstanding death and violence, but are a natural part of it. One late summer night, a group of overly large river rats got into the chicken coop and laid out a massacre to a few hens and their baby chicks. Norman the rooster lived. Nevertheless, he was injured and for the rest of his life walked with a limp. My father, being the foreseer of what happens next, knew that the rats would come back the next night. So he did what was needed and shot them all, one by one as they emerged out of a corner hole of the coop. I stood behind him, hands covering my ears to the dull sound of pressure and fire. For each rat falling dead, there was another coming out. It was a suicide mission at best. The rats never came again after my father's retaliation, and the hens that remained lived to hatch more chicks and live on in a life of peace. The goats are another story. Spike and Ernie daily get into trouble. They climb the apple trees, they get themselves up in the branches, eating the tender leaves and small fruit. Most days, they're even up on the roofs of the barns, just standing in the sun, reveling in its warmth. It must be said that goats are extremely independent-minded. They have a confidence that is like no one else here on the farm. They will and do eat anything from thorny bushes to paper or aluminum cans, even the side of the barn they chew on. Today, though, I came out of the house to see that Spike and Ernie were on top of my father's car, a 1969 Chevy Chevelle SS Supersport, all shiny black and polished chrome. There they are doing a happy little tap dance on top of it, Ernie on the hood and Spike on its roof. They had accomplished their Mount Everest and were celebrating the best way they knew how. I'm just going to end it there, not to tell you what happens next, but to just give it a little suspense of the joyful and very playful goats that were always in trouble. But living on the farm was definitely not without death and trauma. Animal life is not always so warm and happy. There's a lot of things that happen naturally or between wild animals and farm animals. There's always something trying to get at it. Without the dogs, if the dogs weren't there, we probably would have suffered. They would have suffered a lot more deaths because they definitely kept a lot of animals that would have preyed on them. The poultry, mostly the ducks, or even the goats too. It was quite a time living there in the 70s, believing that it was just a natural way of life, like everybody lived like this, cut off from society, unless you would drive some 30 minutes or so to get to a place like a small town store. This actually was one of the best times in my life, and the memories are great too, and all the animals. I would say maybe at one time we had upwards probably towards 50 animals if they were all counted individually, and my father and Nancy really did a great job giving me a life to see how we can survive and thrive in a natural environment and work with its elements. They were really young. I mean, if I was 6, my father was 26 at the time, and Nancy was probably 24. So they had a lot to deal with and do, but I think it was done with such happiness, and it's like something is not always hard if you want it. If you want it, then it's not going to be hard. It's just good, and they did, and they gave me the opportunity to live in that way and experience many actually friends of theirs that would come in and out of the farm often enough, and see the camaraderie that existed between like-minded people. And it was a great place of respect and kindness for animals and people, and it definitely was a gift. With that, I'd like to end with I wish you good thoughts, and to say good words, and to do good deeds.